Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another card video. This is Cassie. I am here today with the Heffy Doodle Anything Goes challenge. I made this card for it. And let me show you a few of the products that we'll be using. That first product that I showed is called Everyday Sentiment Duos. This is called the Crumbs and I have the matching die. And this is brand new. This is called the Fancy Nancy Frames die and I love that little die. And then we have this stencil called Scribble on My Heart stencil. I also plan to use a few other little products, but that's how that stencil looks. To get started with our card, I'm going to take one of the pieces from the Fancy Nancy dies and I'm going to stick that on the upper part of this piece of cardstock. I have this piece of cardstock cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's a little smaller than an A2 size card. And I actually am going to need layers because well, you'll see that coming up. But in order to make those layers, and I want everything to line up, I'm going to stick my original cut down, kind of nestle the die back in there, tape it down, and run both of those pieces through my die cutting machine. And then I will have 2 pieces that will line up perfectly. I'm also going to do it to my base. Now, I ended up cutting too many pieces. I don't need both of those and a base, but I wanted to make sure it all worked correctly. So for my card base, I just have some white cardstock. This is some Dina Classic Crest. And I have scored that at 4 1/4 inches, so it makes it a side folding A2 size card. And I'll do the same thing. I'm going to nestle that back in there once I have that panel lined up, and then we'll be good to go. I want to do some stenciling over one of the panels, so I'm going to take some washi tape and tack this down to my glass mat. And then I'm going to take my stencil, and I'm actually going to put this inside of my makeshift splatter box. I'm going to take this outside and use some Pixie Spray on it. I won't go without it now. I love this Pixie Spray. It works so well for these intricate dies. It makes sure that all the pieces stay where they're supposed to, and then when you peel it back, you don't ruin your cardstock underneath, which is so nice. All right, I have some Nuvo Garnet Red Nuvo Glimmer paste, and I'm going to take a palette knife and spread this all over that panel, basically like butter. I'm not getting too crazy. I'm just kind of wiping away because I don't want it to be too thick. I'm wiping away on those white spots of the stencil so that those are exposed, and then I'm just making sure that all that Garnet Glimmer paste is in all of the other spots, the open spaces, so that I don't have any white space where I don't want it. I'll peel away my stencil, and then I'm actually going to peel away my panel and then scrape up the rest of that paste because, you know, I don't want any of it to go to waste. And then I'm going to take a piece of press and seal, stick that on top, and then I'm going to go clean up my mess in my sink so that none of that dries on my stencil. And we'll move on to doing our stamping while I let my panel dry. I'm taking that Crumbs stamp set, and this is corgis. I love the little British play on it, and I love the little corgis in there. And there's a story behind why I picked corgis. This card is going to be for my son as a congratulations because he is going to be getting promoted at the beginning of next month, and it's very exciting. But he loves corgis. He's never owned one. We've never had one. He just thinks they're the cutest little things, and so of course I had to make it a corgi. And I love this stamp set because you see that front and you see that back. Well, if you use the matching dies, they will line up perfectly. And I had this whole plan in my head, and you'll see as it unfolds. I'm starting off with E50 for my Copic Coloring. I did stamp on my images using some Memento Tuxedo black ink, which is a alcohol marker friendly ink. And like I said, I am going over the top of that. I started with E50, it's my lightest shade, and I'm coming in with Y35. I wasn't exactly sure how to color a corgi, and I do apologize that the one is off screen. I will eventually bring him on screen. But I looked up some pictures, and I kind of just took a look at the colors that they had, and I thought, well, let's just give it a shot. Let's try these colors. So the next color is YR14, and it doesn't look great right now. It won't start looking good until you start adding more layers and you start really blending those colors. So I will keep going back and forth, and I'm using a flicking motion where those colors will meet. So that way the blend is a little bit easier of a transition. So over on this one you can see I'm flicking down, and then I'll do the same thing with his little paws. And then I'm going to come in with that Y35 and flick up to blend in that color, and then I'll come back in with that E50 to blend those colors out. And then I'm going to come in with the YR14 and bring that in a little bit darker. And I'll kind of let that set a bit after I get a little bit more yellow on there. And then it'll really start kind of going together. And if you look up corgis, some of them are different colors, but I thought this little bright orangish yellow would be so pretty for a little corgi. And then I'll do the same thing on this little guy. I just thought it was fun. I have been eyeballing this stamp set and wanting to use it for so long, and the perfect opportunity came up. So this is why this baby's getting inked up and colored the way that he is. And there's just something about corgis. I know they shed really bad, at least talking to a few owners, because, you know, we've toyed with the idea of looking for something similar, but they do shed a lot, but they're cute little butts. Oh my goodness. It's hard to resist those cute little corgi butts, right? Anyway, it's more of a little bit of a joke. That's why I'm sending this to my son, but I think he'll get a kick out of it. I'll move in with some W8 for his nose, and I decide to go over those paws a little bit with that. And then I'll come in with some R46 for the tongues, and it's also going to go in the jewel in the crown. And then I'm going to come in with some R11 for the ears, just to add a little bit of pink to them. And then I'm also going to come in with some Y28 for those crowns. This set isn't new, and most of the products that I use today are not new. There was a new release for Heffy Doodle, so I will have the shop linked down below, so you can definitely check that out. And as I said, this is for a challenge, and the challenge was anything goes, so that's why this fits so perfectly. This is pretty much an anything goes. I'm going to take the matching dies and I'll tack those down with some washi tape, making sure not to go over my images themselves, and then I'll cut all those out. Now this part was redundant. My glimmer paste had dried. It does dry fairly quickly, which is one of the nice things about the product. It dried very quickly, so I was ready to start actually doing some assembly. So now you see that I obviously have a window that goes through, but I didn't obviously want it to go all the way through, so I am taking some acetate along with some 1/8 inch scrappy tape. So I'll peel off all the release paper on that scrappy tape, and then I'll just stick a piece of acetate down on top of that. There are other ways you could do this. It would be kind of fun, but I figured that would be the easiest way to just get this card going. And again, that lines up so nicely, it worked out perfectly. I'll use some Nuvo Deluxe glue on the back of my glimmer paste panel, and then I'm going to adhere this down to the front of my card base, matching everything up. And I'm so happy with how that lined up so nicely. And once that's on there, we'll move on to start decorating. I'm going to take this little corgi and adhere him to the inside and give him a little crown. And then I'll work on the outside corgi. So it's going to look like he's jumping through the window. I'll use that same liquid glue and adhere him down to the center of that. And then I'll open it up and I'll attach his little bum to the other side. And I love, like I said, that it matches up so perfectly. I love it when companies make stamps like that. Now, I did only use one crown here, and I should have done two because it does show through on the back, but I may go back and I may stamp another one and do the exact same thing, so that way I've got a crown on both sides so that it just matches up nicely. But yeah, I think it's so cute. It looks like he's jumping through the center of the card. I'm going to put this into my MISTI, and then I'm going to line up the stamp that I want, which says, "Congratulations, I always knew you were pretty awesome." I love that. I think that's fun. And I'll ink that up with my Memento Tuxedo black ink and then stamp that down. I ink it up a couple times just to make sure I have a good crisp image. And then we're going to do the sentiment on the outside. So I'm taking a strip of Oreo Crunch cardstock by Heffy Doodle, and I ran that through my Xyron sticker maker. This is the Xyron X, and then I'll peel away that release paper, and now I have this giant sticker. So I'm going to cut this down to match the die that I've chosen, which is the Yay die. And I'm going to do that 3 times to make this a bit of a chipboard saying, and I'm going to run that through my Sizzix Sidekick. I haven't used this in a hot minute, but y'all know I do love my Sidekick. So I ran that through, and then I'm going to run that through 2 more times, and then we'll get ready to start assembling. So the neat thing about the sticker maker is now that these intricate Yay stamp dies are stickers, which is fabulous because then it makes assembly that much easier. So I'll peel off the release paper on one of them, And then I will line that up on the other one. And the nice thing about this sticker paper is it's not like crazy sticky, and it takes a minute. So like if you're not happy with how it's adhered, don't press down real hard at first. You can always kind of fix it if you need to. And then once it's adhered, it is adhered. I'll peel off the release paper of this third one and stack that one on top as well. And so now we have this nice yay, almost like a chipboard. And I do the same thing with the exclamation, although I gotta be honest, the dot, I did not line that up 3 times. I have 1 or 2 dots on there, and that's that. Because this is going over glimmer paste, I decided the sticker probably wouldn't be strong enough, so I'm going over that with some Ranger Multimedia Matte. And then I'm going to stick a stamp block on top of that to make sure that that just has some good pressure so that it will adhere to the glitter paste or glimmer paste. And here's where I fiddled and fussed around with the exclamation point. I did get the exclamation itself with 3, but the dot is only like 2. And there we have it. I love how this card turned out. So if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. As I said, this is a part of a challenge, so I will have a link to the challenge down below. It is a Facebook challenge, so if you don't have Facebook, just make yourself an account, easy peasy, and then you can participate. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye, guys.